It is my favorite time of year so far this year. I love May. May is exciting. There's just so much going on, so much to do. Oh, and it's just paradise being out in the warm weather, the sunshine. The pollen allergies for me have finally passed. Thank goodness I can be out here without a mask. And we have so much we've been doing this week, so I'm just gonna throw a hodgepodge of different footage here together on the vlog and show you around. We're figuring out how to do our fence system this year to keep the deer out. And boy, this is a win. We got 2 sets of posts up and wanted to make it just wide enough so the tiller could come through. And boy, does that work. According to our research, deer do not like depth. They won't be tempted to jump over both fences. So we're gonna see if this holds true and do an inside perimeter line like this on all 4 sides. It also gives us an additional wall inside on each side to plant climbing things or support things that will be taller like sunflowers or climbing things like sugar snap peas. Now this is crazy. I can't believe this. See this plant? These are snapdragons. They were out in the garden bed. They were not covered up for the winter and they came back. They literally came back over winter like they're a perennial. They acted like they're a perennial for this zone. I have looked it up. I've researched a couple different things. They're not supposed to come back. And it was one of the worst winters here we've ever had. So it is absolutely bewildering to me that they're here. I'm just like, wow. So this is a very, very hardy plant because they overwintered and came back. And then here I've got more. Check this out. Over here, I've got even more. These are all snapdragons that should not have come back over the winter. Unbelievable. And I mean, the vigor is here. They're growing off of the old plants from last year. Look at this. I can't get over it. Look at that. This is the old stem from last year and they just came up. I was gonna go rip them out. And the funny thing is, I was gonna pull them out of the garden bed last fall to clean it up, and they were so gripped into the soil, and they were doing so well because they're a colder weather flower, like they do good in cold temps. They didn't want to come out of the ground. Like I had a hard time yanking them, so I just left them. And I was just gonna pull them out this spring, and I go to pull them out, and they have growth like this. It's crazy. Honestly, it feels like some sort of blessing that they're coming up. I mean, it defies logic. Everything I've researched, like they're at least zone 5 or lower, meaning much warmer climate. They're not supposed to overwinter here at all. And they're coming back like gangbusters, like they want to be here, and they were gorgeous last year. So of course I'm going to leave them. I admire them. I think they're just a lovely blessing. The garden beds are looking phenomenal. Was able to get them all cleaned up this last week. Pulled all the leaves off. The peony memorial garden is looking fantastic. Everybody is coming up really healthy. Is a gorgeous white with hot pink flecks peony bush that came from my grandma. So it is pretty much one of the most, if not the most special plant in the garden. It brings me so much joy to see it come back every year and get fuller and fuller. It looks terrific. You can see there's a ton of buds ready to come. And it usually blooms late May, early June. And Grandma went to heaven in late May a couple years ago. So it's kind of a special memorial now to her. Love you, Grandma. All of those spring bulbs are just making me so happy. And I've been assessing where in the garden bed we need to put down mulch. It's been 2 years since we put the original bed of newspaper mulch down, and it's getting decomposed and kind of shabby. You can see some things like cords are exposed. So it does need some freshening up, and especially along the garden edge, which I edged last fall. I want to make sure we've got a good amount of mulch there just to keep the weed pressure back, keep the line crisp, and also from an aesthetic standpoint to make sure that it looks crisp and sharp and bold and rich. So it really keeps that beautiful line along the garden bed here for the eye. Planted the vegetable garden, so we got all of the tomatoes and peppers out of the sunroom that we wanted to have planted here. Got the fence up, feeling really good about that. So they're already in the ground earlier than in past years, like we're ahead of the game. Usually it's after mid-May or early June by the time we get that up. So that feels great. Very exciting. We just got the vegetable garden planted. So everybody's looking a little bit upset because they've just been transplanted. But it went really well. We till up the ground here every spring, get it nice and fluffy, and then really make sure we get our spacing right for the tomatoes. Here in the front, we've got 16 tomatoes and then pepper plants in the back. Might not look like much right now, but they will get very big. Last year we had an amazing set of plants that just got huge and had just crazy amounts of harvest, crazy amounts of tomatoes. So what we have here are Celebrity and some Big Boy and some cherries as well. So we've got some nice variety of small and larger. And then back here at the back of the garden, we've got all of our bell peppers. We have just loved growing bell peppers. They have been such a joy. And I just think they are such a beautiful plant. They're very vigorous. They don't seem to be bothered by disease very much. And they produce, like last year was the first year we had grown these from seed and just had such a wonderful time doing that. Really, really excited to have more of them this year. And we've got yellow, orange, and purple bell pepper here. The other thing I learned more about bell peppers growing them last year is you don't have to harvest them immediately. You can leave them on the plant for quite some time and they will just be fine. They will hang out. So what that means is you can take them off when you want to eat them. It's not like a cucumber or a tomato where it's just going to overripe right on the plant and then you're done. And then on top of that, of course, you can freeze. So lots of uses for them.